Are you at the point in your posting journey where you feel like you're posting consistently, but your posts are starting to feel very generic and they don't have a lot of personality? They feel like they're all vibes and no substance. And you know they could be more engaging, but you don't know what to do about that. If this is you, one of the reasons a post won't be interesting is because it lacks conflict. And so today I'm going to talk about why conflict is important in your post. There's this misconception that conflict means table throwing or yelling or pulling hair, and it's not that at all. It actually is a very fundamental storytelling element. By the end of this video, you're going to learn all about conflict and how to add it to your post without being dramatic. If you don't learn how to incorporate conflict into your own post, it's going to be really difficult to elevate your content from information to engagement. Once you really know how to implement conflict into your posts, you are going to find that your ideal client is magnetized to your social media page and to your products and services. You are going to feel like each of your posts tells a story. And you're going to find that your posts are immersive and that people are truly involved and engaged in what you're sharing with your audience. When you're watching television and someone sits down and you're in the middle of a show and someone says, "What is this show about?" And you say, "Oh, it's a dating show." They're going to say, "Okay, but what is it about?" So the dating show is the topic. What it is about is the conflict. It's about 25 women who are looking for love and they're all vying for the attention of one bachelor. That is what the show is about. What it's about is the conflict. As a television producer, I am always asking at every step in the process on a scene level, on an episode level, on a series level, what is this about? Because the minute it's not about something, it's very uninteresting and the audience doesn't track along. So, one thing I want to mention about conflict is I mentioned this before, it does not have to be yelling, screaming, and crying at every turn. In fact, some of the most interesting conflict happens in very quiet moments. Sometimes we will have a whole day of shooting and nothing really happened. It could be two girls sitting on the beach talking about Lululemon in the Gap or whatever. And so we have to find a way to take that conversation on the beach and make it interesting. And that's where the storytelling technique of conflict really helps out. Some of the most enjoyable scenes have come from the most mundane material. So it really does not have to be throwing wine and yelling at people in order to bring conflict. And so I really am passionate about this technique. So now that we know that conflict is not defined by just throwing stuff or yelling or pulling hair, what is the definition of conflict? My favorite definition of conflict comes from a very famous screenwriter, Aaron Sorkin. And basically, it's the idea that somebody has a goal, an intention, and there's an obstacle standing in the way. That is it. It is that simple. It is goal, obstacle, outcome. Someone has a goal, there's someone or something standing in the way, and as a result, there's a consequence or an outcome. That is the simplest and easiest way to define conflict. And that doesn't require hair pulling necessarily. Let's use Top Chef as an example. So there's 7 chefs that want to move on to the next level. Unfortunately, one of them is getting eliminated. So Lisa is one of the 7 chefs. Her goal is to move to the next level. What is standing in Lisa's way is that she doesn't know if her dish is as good as the other 6 dishes that were made today. Will Lisa pack her knives and go home, or will Lisa move to the next level? That is conflict. The true conflict is in, will Lisa achieve her goal or not? At its essence, it's about someone wanting something and something standing in their way, and the audience is questioning, will they get it or won't they get it? No yelling, no throwing things, no hair pulling. So how does this work with social media? There's this very simple template that the South Park creators use when building out conflict in their own scenes and stories. And it's called And, But, Therefore. And it's basically the same idea. Someone has a goal, but something is standing in their way. Therefore, this happens. So we're going to translate the template that South Park creators use to social media. We just fill in the blanks. So 40-year-old woman wants to lose 40 pounds, but all of the ways that she's lost weight in the past before don't work anymore. Therefore, she needs to find a fitness instructor who is proficient in knowing how to help women over 40 lose weight. What is the goal of my ideal client? What is standing in their way? And how can I help them? That's how we're going to use the template in social media. Your audience is watching your posts because they have a goal. So whether the goal is to lose 40 pounds after menopause, or if the goal is to go from 2K months to 20K months, your audience has a goal when they are intentionally looking at your content. So you need to identify what is the goal of your ideal client. Then ask yourself, what is standing in the way of them achieving that goal? Your social media posts are the solution to the obstacle that your ideal client has. So if your ideal client is a perimenopausal woman that has gained 40 pounds and doesn't know how to lose the weight the same way that she would have 10 years ago, your post offers solutions to that obstacle. If your ideal client is an entrepreneur who makes 2K a month but wants to go to 20K a month, but their obstacle is they don't have the mindset and the systems in place in order to achieve that goal, your posts are about helping them overcome that obstacle. So that is the question you will start to ask yourself. Who is my ideal client? What is their obstacle? And how does my post offer a solution to that obstacle? If you learn to incorporate these elements into your posts, your ideal client is going to identify you as the person that can help them solve their problem. Once your ideal client recognizes that you know what they want, understand what's standing in their way, and have a solution to offer, they are going to be confident that you are the person that can help them achieve their goal. Learning how to add this conflict element is going to take your vibes only content and attract your ideal client to you. It's going to magnetize your ideal client to your page, to your products, and to your services. If you need help breaking down what you offer into those three elements, leave that in the comments. I'm more than happy to help. If you haven't watched the previous video on showing versus telling, take a look at that. This is part of my 4-part series on storytelling. Until the next video.